rising to the Beatles, the Stones, and Dylan. And like their heroes, these baby boomers are not about to go quietly into retirement. All across the country, baby boomers are picking up guitars and drumsticks and turning back the hands of time.
Many are forming bands or just reuniting with old ones to keep the sounds of their generation very much alive. In fact, tonight we take a lighthearted look at the growing number of boomer bands who are finding an audience well beyond people their own age. Kare11's Alan Costantini has the story.
Once it was the sound of rambunctious youth. Now it's the sentimental reverie of middle-aged musicians.
We are just a bunch of kids in junior high school who want to have some fun.
And there were so many like them.
Oh, you know, there were hundreds. I remember a magazine article when I was just out of high school in Time magazine predicting that Minneapolis was going to be the new Nashville. They said there were 400 working bands.
Many baby boomers put down their electric guitars and their drumsticks back when the Beatles were still together. Through the years, they may have danced to disco. They may have thrilled, for a while, to Michael Jackson. They may even have tried to get into grunge. But after 40 years, they picked up those instruments again to scratch an old musical itch.
It's amazing how many people played music seriously when they were young, got real jobs, and have moved on from there, and now they're coming back.
The boom in baby boomer bands strikes a major chord for Willie's American Guitars in St. Paul. The store may look like a music museum, but this exhibit is ringing up the cash register. The value of vintage guitars is off the charts. Who else but financially set and sentimental baby boomers wouldn't fret over price tags in the tens of thousands of dollars?
Or they'll buy replicas of old ones. This right here is a replica of a model that John Lennon played when he was with the Beatles. Rickenbackers right now are on back order 2-3 years.
Really?
Yeah, so if you wanted to order one new today, it would be a 2-year wait for this model.
I do civil and criminal.
Minneapolis lawyer Dan Bresnahan suits up during the workday, but when the job's in recess, this attorney's privilege is his music. Bresnahan picked his way through adolescence with a couple of garage bands. Now he's moved the music into the main house.
I play in a couple bands.
Dan knows he is one of many resurrected musical baby boomers.
Computer people, auto parts salesmen, high-tech kind of engineer types.
They're all Bresnahan's new bandmates. Ron Elwood realizes most people would find his avocation a little offbeat. Just ask Elvis, his dog. Lawyer Elwood spends his days lobbying the legislature for low-income legal aid. But his office calendar should give you a clue about the other rhythm in his life. He doffs the suit and dons a do-rag for practice in his Minneapolis basement.
Played with bands, a lot of garage bands back east, but actually I made my living during college playing in wedding bands.
Now Elwood is remarried to his old first joy.
They're getting near retirement, have made their money, and they're looking at other things to, you know, the kids are out of the house, and there's other things to entertain themselves, and music is a good way. It's also, during the wintertime, an indoor sport.
This sounds exactly the way it did 40 years ago.
The Rebels were one of those 400 Twin Cities groups of the 60s. They were a big rock cover band in Crystal, Minnesota. My Music Store's Jim Harms of Golden Valley remembers them.
They were excellent, yeah. Back then, I think it wasn't so much the musicianship of the player, but the outstanding vocals. Right. You know, really good pipes, and that makes it for a good band.
Drummer Dave Smothers and guitarist Jim O'Brien had those good pipes. They all have good memories of innocent times.
When we were 14 and 15, we had so much band equipment, we actually went out and bought ourselves a van. But unfortunately, we had no driver's license, so we either had to have our folks drive the van or Dave's older brother drive the van.
Of course, they can all drive now.
And this is actually my office.
Being on the road has a different meaning for Rebels keyboardist Ron Spencer. He's a regional manager for a communication publisher. Guitarist O'Brien owns a Plymouth body shop. They all have real jobs, none of which require music. The Rebels surrendered their band to other interests in high school, but 40 years after they last took off those homemade outfits in 1967, the Rebels came back together to find a time warp and be teen rock stars one more time.
sometimes when you're playing, you get the goosebumps and the hair stand on your arms, and you look out in the audience and you see these people just in love with the song and dancing around, and you get caught up in it.
Which is what the old rock and roll is all about.
Only the brave get old.
Alan Costantini, Kare11 News.
Thank you. He's right, though. The real jobs just getting away.
Absolutely.